I didn't want to, switch my entire strategy, until I knew. But once you start trading and you start taking it seriously, it's not something you can just quit. The way that I trade news is if we have 8:30 a.m. news, you're a loser, like you're losing. After those losses, on my walks, I would just go on my walk, no music. If it was one like hard stop rule that like you couldn't break.
What's like your process? How do you stay mentally sharp?
So the biggest thing to like prevent yourself from falling into the trap is like.
Welcome back, everyone, today to Process Over Profits. Today, I'm joined by Charlie, better known as Big Char Trades. Absolute pleasure to see you again, man. How you doing?
I'm doing perfectly fine, bro. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I know we spoke a while ago, and obviously we kind of, went into your training a little bit and that. But I've since heard that you've progressed quite a lot and you've kind of changed the whole sort of outlook in that. So we're going to get into that and obviously the changes you've made and why. But first of all, for those that don't know you, introduce yourself. How did you get into trading? Like, what got you into this industry?
Yeah, what's up? Big Char Trades. So I actually had a marketing agency before I started trading. We would just run ads for like local businesses and also some online businesses as well. And I ended up getting a client that was a trader. And so I was just like, oh, this is cool. I used to trade when I was like 18 years old. I'm 24 years old now, but when I was 18, I got $2,000 for my graduation present for graduating high school. And I was just trading options. I traded up to like 8,000 and I lost everything. And, here and there I trade throughout college, but nothing serious. Dropped it for a couple years. And then I met this guy and, he made me realize that this is probably a skill that I should get back into. It's pretty lucrative if you can figure it out. So about a year ago, like literally almost today, on August 21st of 2024, is when I started trading futures. And I traded the 4-hour PO3. A lot of people are familiar with that strategy. And that was what our last video was about. So it's been, good amount of months since we've spoken, but since then, PO3 wasn't showing up as often, and I decided to start backtesting with a discretionary model because I also know a few successful traders and they all trade discretionally. That's how, the top of the top does it, like Umar and, some other people like that. So with that being said, I started backtesting, found strategy that works for me, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you today.
Glad to see you started backtesting. Love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and in like, so obviously I see you had this like marketing agency, right? And did you have like
Mhm.
various other clients like from different places when you were doing that? Or like, was it all like kind of trading based people?
No, it was from all different various places. So I actually started like in the Amazon space and then I moved over to like local businesses like HVAC, roofing, stuff like that. And then I moved over to the online space when people started selling courses and stuff. I would do some marketing for that. And that's when I started working with more and more traders. And eventually, literally right before I started trading myself, all my clients were traders.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
what
all
is
of
in
them.
particular that you just like you saw all these traders doing this kind of thing, and obviously there's that stigma around trading. So like
Mhm.
what made it in sort of your head click that be like, okay, this is it. Like I want to do this.
Well, like I said earlier, I always had that interest of trading. It's always been something in the back of my mind. And I just came from the standpoint where it's like, oh, throughout college, a little after college, I didn't have crazy amounts of money. I started making good money with my marketing agency, but with that money, I wasn't willing to, trade with that. So
Yeah.
that was always sort of the bottleneck, just like the capital, because from that point, I only traded options. And it wasn't until I started working with these traders where I was like, oh, people actually trade futures and you don't need that much money, especially with prop firms. Like you don't need that much money to get into it. So why not like give it a shot? And after I started to give it a shot in around August of last year, I just became obsessed. Like, I need to figure this out. Like, it's not for people watching and you, like, once you start trading and you start taking it seriously, it's not something you can just quit.
Yeah, it's something you can't put down. It's like a puzzle and you have to crack it. And if you like, you
Literally.
just keep going at it until you just do
It
get it.
doesn't matter how down bad you are, like, you're just gonna
Yeah.
keep trying to crack it.
No,
So,
100%. I think it's actually one of the things you have to have in trading is that like almost obsession. Otherwise, you
yeah.
will just quit. Like you almost have to be insane to be a trader.
Yeah, it's a big thing that converted like from the entrepreneurship stuff that I was doing before to trading. That same sort of spirit where it's like I don't care how bad, I'm getting kicked down, like I'm gonna get up and keep going. That's the sort of thing that you need as a trader, or else you're just gonna get wiped out.
If you could compress, like, I know obviously you said you've been doing this a year and you've like come like quite a long way in a year, I would say, right? You're doing
Yeah.
pretty well for someone who's been training a year. There's people that have been training 4 or 5 years and they're still kind of, not really doing
hmm
too much. If you
hmm
could compress that like first 12 months into like a lesson to give someone that helps you get there much faster than say someone else who's still struggling 4 years or so, what would that be? Like, what's the one trait that person needs to have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it's hard to answer this in one sentence, but I would say psychology is like 100% of the game. You need to be able to um, just take it when you're wrong, take it on the chin and move on, because if you can't do that, then you're just gonna blow your account. Like I was speaking with one of the people in my Discord today, literally just on a call. And he was complaining that, his family struggles with money, he struggles with money. He was trading like Bitcoin and Ethereum, like, with no capital before, and he switched to futures and he wants to trade that, messing things up for himself by over trading, revenge trading. And it's really funny when you get on the phone and someone's saying that, because it's like they think that there's this one golden answer, but the only answer is like psychology is 100% of the game. If you can master that, master being comfortable taking losses early in your journey, there's no reason why you can't become profitable in even like a month. Like it's
Yeah.
just up to you and how soon you're able to get over that psychological hurdle. Like for me, I think the biggest reason why I was able to, make progress fast is because I took these lessons that I've learned from like starting previous businesses. I've owned like three businesses before I started trading. So I was able to take lessons from there and funnel them into this. And I was lucky enough to be in a position where my mentor who got me into trading, my client, he was really, really big on the psychology part of the game early on. And I think that's the only reason why I was able to make so much progress really fast.
Yeah, you have to have that mental foundation to kind of like support you in your trade. Otherwise, it's going to get real expensive real fast.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to focus on the long-term stuff.
Obviously, I know that you said that now your training's kind of changed and like it's kind of progressed from what it was and you were training the 4 hour PF3 to what you do now. Is there a particular influence that's kind of like made you change? And I kind of just want to get straight into like the strategy here.
Yeah, yeah,
Let,
yeah. No, for sure. So when I was training the 4 hour PO3, it was delivering a lot when I first started. Like there was a period from August to I want to say March where the 4 hour PO3 was huge because it was playing out like
yeah,
every single trade. And like the trades would be like 150, 250 points. Like I have screen recordings on my phone of me catching like, I have the little like ticks on, not the money, and it's like,
yeah,
650, 750 ticks like in one trade, like hitting TP. And that in this market today, like that doesn't happen. Like there's no, that's huge range. Um, and eventually when it came to like March, April, I would notice that, the PO3 was not only presenting itself less and less just to set up itself, because it's mechanical, but also just it wasn't playing out as often. And I got to the tipping point where I was literally buying and resetting evaluation accounts every single day. Like I'd buy Top Step, trade New York AM, take a loss, trade New York PM, blow the account, buy a new one, trade Asia, blow the account. Like it was so
yeah,
bad.
brutal.
Brutal. And that's when I was just like, okay, I literally can't handle this anymore. So at the end of April, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna start just looking on social media. I know a lot of people trade. I'm not trying to strategy hop. I'm just trying to, adjust to the market. So like what's a model that I can sort of implement? And I saw a lot of people, you were one of them who trade, because I remember the last time we spoke, you said that you trade everything, you trade discretionally. And so that was something that I sort of remembered. I was like, okay, let me just back test. So I just straight up back tested finding a draw on liquidity for like a week straight, like literally only finding a draw, not taking entries or anything. And once, I was able to find a draw, that's when I started saying like, okay, like what if, price trades into a 15-minute for value gap, and I just take any confluence out of it? Like, does it matter if it's change in state or inversion? And so I just start doing that. And then eventually, like 2 weeks after doing that, I realized, okay, I can literally just trade this and just catch really nice small moves to internal highs and lows, and just catch like 1 to 1, 1 to 2 hour trades. Most of the time, like less than 1 to 2 hour trades. And it just supports my psychology because I like hitting TP. I don't really care if I catch like a 5 hour trade or a 1 hour trade. I just want to hit TP. So I started doing that. I wasn't posting about it at all because I was just like, I was still posting about the PO3, but I was posting like the results from this model. Like I would post like, oh, like, 5 winning days this week, blah, 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 like 85% win rate, 80% win rate.
Yeah.
Um, and then I would get a bunch of questions and actually like hateful DMs like, dude, you pose yourself as this mentor. Now you're not even teaching us anymore. Like, what is this? Blah, blah, blah. And like the reason why was because I just started trading it. Like I didn't want to, switch my entire strategy, until I knew. And eventually, that's when I got my first payout. That was in May, end of May. And that's when I started talking about this new strategy and stuff. So that's why I
Yeah.
switched.
Awesome. I think obviously highlighting one important thing that obviously we preface a lot over here at TradeZella is backtesting and how
Yep.
invaluable like it actually can be, whether
Yep.
it's just getting the reps in or to actually prove something works in the first place. I think it's one of the hardest things that people struggle with when trading this kind of way is how do you find your daily bias? Would you
Mhm.
mind sharing your screen and just kind of walking us through how you would find your daily bias?
So I actually don't find daily bias. I just find drawn liquidity.
Okay.
I used to be a huge proponent of like daily bias and stuff, but I like having a specific level to where price is going and stopping trading after that level's hit because, daily bias is just like bullish or bearish. I don't really like that. So every day I start with the daily and then I go to the 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute, and then my drawn liquidity set. So on the daily time frame, we actually had SMT on both sides. This low was not taken when the market opened, and ES, as you can see, obviously made a new high right here. That's some bearish SMT, and then we also had bullish SMT because ES swept this low. This low wasn't swept when the market. That's why it's kind of annoying because I can't show that it wasn't swept, but it wasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Trade
so
view
we had
replay. I know the struggle.
yeah. So we had and TradeZella backtesting features way better for this, by the way. That's actually the platform that I back tested on when I was finding this. But so on the daily time frame, we have SMT on both sides of the range, and we also had inversed this fair value gap, this bullish daily fair value gap. So I just completely invalidated this time frame. Whenever we have SMT on both sides of the range, I just invalidate the time frame. I also invalidated the 4 hour time frame today because you probably saw this NQ inverse this gap like, a while ago. And ES, like from this chart, looks like it's respecting this gap pretty fairly well. So from this, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to even use the 4 hour either.
That's
Right.
interesting that you do that. So when there's
Yeah.
when they conflict, you just say, "Oh, that time frame's done." We don't consider that.
Yeah, exactly. So like
Yeah,
on the daily conflicting SMT, I just don't account for it because the daily time frame actually tells me a lot of information. Pretty much every single day. I never fade daily SMT. So like when we have bearish SMT, I'm not longing. When we have bullish SMT, I'm not shorting
yeah,
on the daily time frame. So the fact that this 4 hour got inversed on NQ and we're respecting on ES, I don't really want to play a part in that. I don't want that to be a part of my analysis at all. So then dropping down to the hourly, I see that we have this hourly bearish gap right here. And we also not only have this gap, but we also have SMT inside of it. So again, the replay feature, um, whatever. We also have SMT inside of it. So as you can see from right here, let me see if I can just cancel out this candle right here. Okay, so on the
easy.
hourly, easy. So on the hourly, oh my God. Whatever. We do have this bearish S&T again at this time when I was trading. Or NQ hasn't traded into this bearish gap yet.
Yeah,
But as you can see, ES is well into that gap. So that just tells me that these lows are all, free range lows. This was my draw for today. So that bearish SMT, since I don't have any bias on the daily or the 4 hour, this is all I have. So I'm short for the day. Also, we, inverse this bullish fair value gap as well, telling me that price wants to go lower, right? So dropping down to the 15 minute. Let me just make sure that this is okay. Right. So dropping down to the 15 minute, I want price to trade into this hourly gap. That's the goal. Oh, I actually haven't done my analysis for the 15 minute yet. So on the 15-minute time frame, we see, right, a displacement through Asia lows. This is actually something that I started doing that I haven't heard anyone really talk about. So session highs and lows, whenever there's displacement through the high or the low, I tend to leave this high. And this isn't this, I assume that this high isn't going to get ran. So since we displaced through Asia lows, not only did we displace through it, we also created like bearish PD rays on the way through it. I just going into today, I thought that I completely invalidated London highs. Like London highs are not going to get ran today. I don't want price to come up. Typically, you want price to come up, sweep London highs, and then go lower. I didn't want that today. I wanted these to get left untouched, and my draw would just remain these lows and then these relative equal lows right here, as you can see right there.
Sorry, just to interrupt you really quick, just before we move on, because I know also this is something that people suffer with quite a lot. Can you define displacement? Can you explain what it is?
Yeah, so displacement to me is just a clear direction through a higher low or, rejecting it. So like if price comes up and displaces through Asia highs, right? It's just like a clear move through it. And like price doesn't even come down. It's just clear, right? And then if price, displace through or from data highs, like price comes up, sweeps data highs, and then immediately displaces to the downside, that is pretty bearish. And I would want to see, a movement farther down from there. But if we displace through the highs, I would just want to see a movement higher up through there.
Gotcha.
But that's displacement to me. It's just like a clear directional move, like these are Asia lows, right? We see that price came down, consolidated for a few minutes, and then literally just ripped through the data lows.
Yeah.
That's displacement through the lows to me. So
Okay,
once
cool.
that happens, I just assume that London highs are going to be untapped. So this is the hourly fair value gap. And so ideally in this scenario, since we have that displacement, since we have the hourly fair value gap and the SMT inside of it, I would want price to come up and then go lower and take out these resting lows down here. That's how I find my daily bias. So I'll typically either take a trade up to this fair value gap or take a trade out of this fair value gap, depending on what gets presented to me.
Okay, awesome. Obviously, if you just let price replay, do you want to show us
Mhm.
how you actually get into these trades?
Yeah, of course. So this is an hourly gap, right? So when price is trading into an hourly gap, I don't really like taking anything for a lower time frame confluence under like a 3 minute. So like an hourly PD array, I wouldn't like anything under 3 minutes. So M3 to M5 execution, right? When I say execution, I mean like IFVG or change in state of delivery. Um, right. And then if it's a 15-minute PD array, I'll take anything from like a 1 minute to a 5 minute execution. IFVG again, or change in state. As well as, sometimes if there's no PD arrays on the 15-minute or hourly, I would take an M5 PD array and then only an M1 execution. A lot of people trade the 30-second time frame. I've done it twice, and both times my stop has gotten obliterated. So I'm just like, I stay away from that time frame. So yeah. So do you want me to get into the execution, like how I would take this
Yeah,
trade?
yeah, cool. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Yeah, so I'm on the 5 minute time frame now. Typically, market's about to open in this next candle. I'm just waiting for confirmation. So I want to see price trade into this gap. As you can see, market opened and literally ripped up to the gap and then immediately rejected off of it. And we created this little 5 minute fair value gap. So in my head, I'm like, okay, this gets inversed. I'll take it to the low, and that will be my trade for the day. So price goes ahead and inverses that gap. But this is a pretty large range, right? On this closure, this is a 40-point stop and a negative R to this first low, right? I'm using this low right here.
Yeah.
Right, so this is like a negative 0.74 R. I don't take that. I take like 1 to 2 R trades. So right here, I wait for the retest. And this was literally my trade today. I got an entry like around here-ish, about a 1 to 1 R, risking like, I think I risked a little bit less than that. I think mine was a 1.14. Yeah, so I risked 33 points, just took it with one mini, and then price came down and took the TP, and that was the trade
Awesome.
right
Nice
here.
trade, by the way. And
Thanks, bro.
would you also be able to show us like an example of, obviously, it looks good when it works, but would you be able to show us an example of where like you did follow your rules, but maybe it didn't work out so well and why?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Okay, so on Friday, let me just go to the 2 p.m. candle. Okay, for the 1 hour. Okay, so
Um,
on Friday, right, we
yeah,
had, I'm not gonna go to the daily time frame just because it's not gonna work.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but all the higher time frame confluences were pointing bearish. We also had 8:30 a.m. news. So the way that I trade news is if we have 8:30 a.m. news, okay, like red folder news, like CPI or something, right? If data highs, data lows of that candle, right? If price sweeps data lows first, then my bias would be long through the highs, right? If price sweeps data highs first, then my bias would be lower through the lows, right? It's sort of like session highs and lows in that way. So coming into the market, we had this hourly bearish fair value gap that was clearly being respected right here. And so, with that, drop down to the 15-minute time frame. And on the 15-minute time frame, we also have another fair value gap right here.
yeah.
Um, and at this point in time, I don't remember if there was SMT or not. Yeah, so there was SMT. Was there
Is
SMT?
is SMT a must for you, or is it only an extra confluence?
No, it's just an extra confluence. I would have taken a short if there was no SMT, but we do have SMT here. SMT just gives me like A plus setup versus like A setup. As you can see here, like ES made a higher high. NASDAQ did not sweep that
Yeah,
high, right? And we're inside the bearish gap. We're also inside the bearish daily fair value gap. So, a lot of people would see this reaction right here and they'd be like, oh, why would you consider shorts if we clearly respected this gap? Because we're delivering out of the hourly bearish gap right here, right, which holds way more weight than 4 hour gap. So, or that 50-minute gap. So with that, dropping down to the 5 minute time frame, I like marking out my data highs and lows on the 5 minute time frame just because it's the actual 8:30 candle. So with the 5 minute candle, right, this is the 8:30 a.m. candle. So we have data highs and data lows. And then remember what I said about the sweepage, right? So like if price sweeps this high first, then I'll go short. If price sweeps this low first, I'll go long, right? So in this trade, okay, I actually had the wrong thing simply because I marked out the wrong low. So when I was on the 5 minute time frame, I marked out this low as data lows and then the actual data high right there because I was just like, I think it was like 9:20. I was a little bit late to getting on the charts and I just marked it wrong and it actually screwed up the whole day for me because if we take a look at this, right, we see this 50-minute gap, right? In my eyes, data lows are swept right here. Look, okay, in my eyes, data lows are swept right
Delos.
there, right? So if data lows are swept right there, we're inside of this bullish gap, right? If we get like a 1 minute inversion, I'll happily take that long,
Yeah,
right? So we get the 1 minute inversion, right? Right here, I think. I get in at like this re on this literally like this candle right here. And then my trade idea is
yeah.
obviously,
I remember this price action.
yep, yep. And then I stop at the low and my TP was probably um like this high or something. Wait, where is this? Like this high or something, right? Like this was the trade idea. Like a 1.27 R, but data lows weren't actually swept. These are data lows right here, right? So I get stopped out here because price comes up, sweeps data highs. Wait, am I wrong? Yeah, I get stopped out right there, right?
Yeah,
Then price comes up, sweeps those data highs. We're delivering inside of that 15-minute gap, right? If we get this inversion, then this is like a great short setup. And this is the exact setup that I would take, right? So price comes down and nukes, right, at open. So from there, we see this. I'm not going to take that entry because that's obviously like
Yeah.
60 points of risk. So from there, I'm like, okay, I'll take this 1 minute continuation, right? If price pulls in here and I see with a candle closure that we respect this bearish gap, I'll take that short. So price comes in there, next candle's a down close candle. We make a high in that gap, right? That's a respect. Typically like go short there. Stop loss goes at this high, and then my TP probably be like, I don't know, a low, like one of these lows, just say this low right here. Again, like with this model, I'm not trying to catch the whole entire move. I'm just trying to, take my
Get yourself
profits and get
paid.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is TP, right? We get edged. I remember it's like right there. We get edged, doesn't take the stop though, and then price comes down and takes that TP. And that would be like the beautiful A plus setup. Just so textbook. Data high swept inside of a PD array, inside of a higher time frame PD array, 1 minute inversion aligns with, news and everything.
So when you say like A plus, if you were to write out almost like a checklist of what an A plus setup looks like, what would that be?
Yeah. So that's a little bit difficult just because this like model's very discretionary, but I'd say like daily SMT, right? And then I would say like 4 hour PD array expected, right? 1 hour bearish order flow or whatever bullish slash bearish order flow, whichever direction the market is going in.
Yeah.
Like respecting that. And then M15 PD array respected, and then like entry confluence. So like IFVG changes state. That's probably like the perfect, literally the perfect trade. Just going through the time frames and aligning everything.
Awesome, awesome. I think also another thing that people sort of struggle with this, like say for example on the trade example you were just showing, right? There was that what was it, like a 15-minute fair value gap, but we ended up just chopping around the market, just chopped and chopped and chopped. Do you have
Mhm.
any filters to kind of help yourself stay out of those bad conditions and those choppy conditions?
Like right here.
Yeah, like just for an example, say to, but
Yeah.
not necessarily there, but just general sort of choppy price action. Like, how do you avoid that?
Well, if I'm coming into the market and there's either no clear direction or there's just a bunch of confluences and price can go either way, I usually just sit out. If there aren't any P rays at all on the chart and we're just chopping around, I usually sit out. It gets a little bit testy when there's like when you want to wait for like a 5 minute PD array to form to take an entry out of. That's probably the trade that I get stopped out the most from is like when price is chopping around and then you think, because there's displacement in one direction, right? After the chop on like the 5 minute time frame, right? You try to
Yeah,
take a continuation and then you just get wiped. I've actually learned that the best way to combat that is just wait for key levels to get swept. Like a big thing that I do that helps a ton is like if let's say today or on this day, like since we swept London lows, if my drawn liquidity is London highs, then I'm not gonna, instead of like taking a trade up to London highs, which is what I would do sometimes if I'm impatient,
yeah,
right? If it's like choppy conditions, I'd wait for London highs to get swept and I'll take the short out of London highs. Because like typically how I trade is I'll either catch the move up to the key level or I'll catch the move out of the key level. So in choppy conditions, it helps so much to just take the trade out of the key level because then like if it's choppy and it doesn't end up taking the key level, you either get stopped out or you don't take a trade. Whereas like if you wait for the key level to get hit, you either hit your TP or don't take a trade, which is a winning day in my eyes.
it
Yeah.
looks like you're mostly trading around New York Open. Is that strict to only trade around New York Open, or do you trade other times as well?
Yeah,
And
so
what's the reason for that as well? Sorry.
yeah, no, so my trading window is like 9:25 or like 9:20 to like 10:35, 10:40. When I was back testing to, learn this strategy, I would notice that after 10:30, the market doesn't really deliver that well. And so there's no point to trade it because if you get stopped out at 10:45, that's like kind of annoying because you're like in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't have traded this anyway. And you still got stopped out. So it kind of stings a little bit more.
Yeah,
And then, I've noticed that not recently in August. August has been horrible for market open. It's just always wrong. But, in July, we were getting a lot of solid pre-market setups that, 9:30 actually helped deliver at market open. That was really great. I still take pre-market setups when they're like A plus. If they're at like 923, 925, I'll take them. Anytime before like 920, I used to take them. I don't take them anymore because it's just like not predictable.
And when you were backtesting these results, what did you say like the win rate and sort of expectancy and average hour?
I think the win rate was, I can pull up TradeZella if you want the back testing because I actually have the
Yeah, sure,
results.
can do. Yeah. Let's say, for example, the volatility picks up, right? Because the market is seasonal, like volatility
Hmm.
changes, the market changes, and you have to
Hmm.
adapt like you already did. Would you see a sort of time where you would adapt to say back to the 4 hour PO3? Or do you think this is going to be like your thing now?
No, this is probably just going to be my thing now, just because I've proved it to myself to work. And I like it a lot better because it's like I can sort of take responsibility for the progress. Because
Yeah.
I was the one that was like willing to change. So I'll probably just stick with this. It's also I like trading this way better just because it's way more discretionary and also it's way faster. Like I'm gonna trade for literally 30 seconds sometimes. And in my eyes, I remember trading the PO3, I would wait so long just to hit, $400 trade with three micros, like catching 150 points.
Yeah. I think it's also important, and I'm not sure what your opinion on this is, but like it's not a one strategy fits all. Like you have to balance your psychology with the strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like if with this model, it's really easy to lose a lot of money fast if you're sizing up and your psychology is bad. Because if you're using three minis and you're taking a 1 to 1 hour trade, like your stop is 25 points, you get wiped out on that on a 50K account or, live account, whatever. That's like a $1,500 loss or something. So it's really easy to get wiped out with this model. And I think that actually helps your psychology more because in the moment you're just like, it's just not worth it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, these were my backtesting results.
Okay.
66% win rate.
Nice. Yeah. 2.79 profit factor. Very nice.
Yeah, like in March, this had like almost an 80% win rate with 20 trades. And then April, and then this is when price action, it's
Start to
funny. We're
suck.
slowly getting worse and worse price action. Like August, is definitely not next to these
So,
numbers.
so obviously I've been trading a minute, but just think the summer months will always be slower and the winter months will always be faster.
I've heard that. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Heard
It's
that.
uh it's it's definitely a thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Obviously we touched a little bit in psychology, and you've said that how important obviously psychology is for you. Now we at TradeZella's kind of preface is having like what we call, this whole thing is called process over profits. What's like
Hmm.
your process? How do you stay mentally sharp and like not like training is mentally tough, right? How do you not just let it like get you down? Like how do you come back clear-headed, reset each day and kind of, maintain at that high level of frequency?
So as I don't know if you know this, but I've been walking like 12, 13 miles a day for the past
Down.
2.5 months. Yeah, so like I get like anywhere from 20,000 to like 25,000 steps a day. And on those walks, obviously, it's not one walk, it's like two or three. But on those walks, obviously, you have a lot of time to yourself and you have a lot of time to think. So some of the times, you know, like last week, I did this couple of times. Or the week before last, I lost like 32K in 2 days. I had like a $16,000 loss on the day. And then literally that was Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I had a $17,000 loss. So like
Yeah, it's tough.
33K. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you posted about a huge loss the other day as well. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
so
know the feel, yeah.
yeah, you know the feeling. So like in those times, it's like it's really difficult to keep your head up. And I know like a lot of, me included, a lot of people say like, oh, like, fuck your feelings don't matter. Like you just need to show up every day level-headed. And like if you're not acting on your emotions, then it's fine, which I agree with. And that's like the motto of like my whole community is like, fuck your feelings, they don't matter. As long as you're not acting on the emotions, then you're fine. Like you can be depressed about a loss, you can be sad, but like as long as it doesn't make you open up the charts and start trading to be green, then you're fine.
Hmm.
Um, so like after those losses, on my walks, I would just go on my walk, no music, literally just like thinking. And it also helps that I have a few trader friends because I would just like call them and rant to
Yeah,
them. And they
massive.
all
Yeah.
tell me like it's so funny because like when you're in the moment and you take that loss, you're like, dude, like, holy shit. Like I have to reevaluate like everything. What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. But then like you get on the phone with these people who are seeing it from a different POV, right? And if the roles were reversed and it was them, you would definitely tell them the same thing that they're telling you. It just seems like such a big deal when it's you, when in reality it's like, dude, you're good. Like that's 3 trading days. Like you'll be fine. It's 3 good trades. And so that's what they told me whenever, that stuff would happen to me. And obviously it still affects you like for the next week or so. But if you're able to find your peace and like maybe it's walking, maybe it's hanging out and watching TV, maybe it's reading, maybe it's journaling, whatever it is, if you're able to just come back and like realize that it's not that big of a deal and like the market is always going to be here, then you can sort of step away and go into every trading day the same. Like for me, at the end of every day, I completely reset. Like, and it's not something that I do consciously, like it's a subconscious thing. This is gonna sound kind of cringe. Every night before I go to sleep, I'm super excited for the morning because I'm like, oh, I can trade. Like I'm so excited.
You got the
Um,
itch.
yeah, because I just love like I love waking up, having my coffee, like going on the charts, finding my draw on liquidity. Like I love it because it's genuinely fun. And even when I'm red from the day before, it's still fun to me because
Yeah.
like it's like a little game and it's like a little like some people wake up, they'll read the paper and they'll drink their coffee. Like I'll trade and I'll drink my coffee. And it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's the best morning. So that just really helps me. Like, even if I'm down from a loss, I'll get back into it.
What do you do in terms of these situations where maybe you have been chopped around or maybe you have been stopped out, maybe once, maybe even twice? How do you stop yourself from going down that hole and tilting and revenge trading? Do you have any like filters in place that basically say like I just can't do this anymore or
So a lot of people like to use Top Step and Alpha Ticks to like set the trade limit for the day.
the lockouts and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the lockout. I lock myself out manually after I trade just because like sometimes I like going on Top Step X and like looking at my executions and like it's really easy to accidentally press buy or sell on Top Step X on your phone. So I lock myself out. But I honestly I don't set trade limits and I don't do any of that because I just rely on myself because I've been in those scenarios where I'm revenge trading, where I'm tilted, where I'm like trying to be green on the day and it just always ends in like you blowing your account, you taking huge loss on the day. Like it always ends poorly. And so the biggest thing to like prevent yourself from falling into the trap is like remembering how you feel when you're in the trap. And that feeling will always keep me from doing that because that is the worst feeling. Like I would say it's comparable to like a great great grandma's death. Like you didn't really know her because she's like really old,
Yeah.
but like
Great
she
analogy.
passes away, right?
Yeah.
Like it's horrible.
Yeah, it is. It is really bad. And I think it is one of those things, and I think it happens with most traders where it's like you've got so many times and you get so sick of just breaking your own rules that eventually you're just like, oh, maybe I'll just follow them.
Yeah, yeah. Like you just can't deal with it anymore because either you have no more money or you just like you're so depressed out of your brain, out of your mind. Like,
Yeah, awesome. If you could install like maybe one behavioral trait, I know obviously you said about the psychology at the start, but maybe one like psychological behavioral trait into every new trader starting out, what would that be?
if it was one like hard stop rule that like you couldn't break,
Yeah,
it would be like if your first trade is green, you get off for the day.
that's a good one.
If the first trade is red, then you take one more. And like regardless of the outcome, you get off. Like if that was like set in stone and there was no way for you to break that rule, I think, and you're trading a system that like somebody else trades that makes money trading, like there's no reason for you not to start making money fast from trading.
Yeah,
I literally
100%.
like psychology is literally 100% of the game. Like it literally doesn't matter what strategy you trade. Like retail concepts work, order flow works, ICT works. It all works. It's just like people fail because they can't handle themselves. And that's all of it.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because I did a webinar the other day and I basically said that your edge in trading is a math equation, right? It's your average win versus your average loss times. I can't remember what it was, but like basically it's a simple formula. And
Hmm.
your psychology is what changes the formula. If you just let the
Hmm.
formula play out, your wins are exponential over time.
Yeah,
So yeah, it is crazy the impact that psychology, sorry,
that's
does
a great
actually have.
analogy. I never thought of that. That's so true, though.
Yeah. Just to kind of sign off here, if you could, so there's obviously various people who, are new in trading, they've just blown their accounts, they're in this psychological rut, they're in this hole right now. Like, what is something you can give to them to motivate them to like keep pushing on and just help them get over this hump and carry on with their journey?
Um, it's gonna sound like the complete opposite of what they want to hear because like I could say like, oh, like just it will work out if you spend time doing it. Like it's gonna work out, which is true. But something that's gonna help them is like you're not you're not like a victim, number one. Like trading is hard. Like you're not a victim. So like
Yeah,
stop like taking a loss and being sad about it because that's not doing you any good. And then number two is like your emotions do not matter. Like it doesn't matter how depressed you are. If you let the system play out and those emotions don't force you to take action, then you are going to be set. You're going to be good. Like you literally the only reason why you haven't made any progress is because of yourself. It's just like you're the only person executing on the charts. You're not letting yourself become profitable because every time you lose a trade, you take five more. Like that's just you're a loser. Like you're losing. The only way to get out of this hole is to realize how fed up you are with yourself and to actually decide to genuinely want to take a change, to make a change, because that's going to be the only thing that helps you. And like I give this advice to people a lot. And everybody after I give that advice like thanks me, even though it's like it probably stings because they already know like they're in a hole. Like they don't want to hear like, oh, like you suck, like blah blah blah. But it's true, like you need to hear it because you're literally the only reason why you suck,
yeah,
you know?
awesome.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
bit obviously different advice, but obviously the honest truth. And yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate that. Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, obviously, for joining me today on Process Over Profits, Charlie. Do you want to shout yourself out on your socials quick?
Oh yeah, it's just Big Char Trades with on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. TikTok is Big Char Trades, but with two S's. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And guys, make sure to obviously like the video, subscribe, and obviously check out Charlie if you enjoyed obviously what he had to say today. Thank you for watching, everyone. See you in a bit.